So we're back.
We're back.
We decided to keep this going because we thought it'd be cool. It's early November. It's kind of a little bit after Halloween, but this was just like a conversation that we were having about scary movies. Angel doesn't like scary movies.
Nope, sure don't.
I think scary movies are just entertaining. Like, I don't really think they're scary per se. I wanted to ask you why
I'm such a scaredy cat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why are you afraid of
so
movies?
this whole movie is about putting me on blast. This is
Not
amazing.
even. No, that's just the starting point. That's just the
Okay.
starting point. What makes a scary movie scary to you?
I think that's changed over the years. That's changed over the course of the years. Growing up, I used to have this reoccurring dream of Chucky and Freddy Krueger together, trying to kill me on a ship, like one of those like.
What kind of shit?
I'm dead serious. Like it's one of those.
Like a barge, like with the tank, like the.
You know, like when they
containers?
have. Yeah, with all the containers.
That's because every action movie had.
Yeah.
For some
And I
reason,
was
they
just like
also did
stuck,
that.
and I'm running through poles, and like I get away from Chucky, and then Freddy would be greeting me. And then I get away from Freddy, and then Chucky would be right there. So anything religious still scares me. Any exorcism, terrified.
One of my other questions I was going to say, or just points, was about the difference between watching a scary movie as a kid versus watching one as an adult. Because my personal relationship with them, I think, is because as a kid, I had a way too overactive imagination, and I was terrified of pretty much everything. So, like, my parents didn't let me watch scary movies as a kid. So a lot of stuff that, like, people are afraid of, like Chucky or, like, Jason, whatever, I never saw as a kid. So I'm watching them for the first time as an adult, and I find them hilarious and not scary. And just scary movies in general, for me, are, like, just funny a lot of the time. So do you think if you didn't see scary movies as a kid, you would have, like, a different opinion about it?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I think scary, like, for instance, okay, haunted houses. Those used to terrify me a lot. But, I mean, we just went to Halloween Horror Nights together.
It was tight, by the way.
I was brave. I was brave.
Brave. You were brave.
Before, you catch me in someone's hoodie, like, I would just, like, not look at anything. But now I feel like it's a little bit different.
Why?
I feel like, I don't know. I think now I just, like, appreciate the production of it.
But why don't you appreciate the production of a movie, then?
Because it still scares me. And I think it just roots back to, like, imagination. Because I'm watching the movie, but I'm not physically there. But in a haunted house, like, I'm there. Like, I'm actually there. Like,
and that makes it less scary to you?
Yeah, for some reason. Like, for a movie, like, my imagination still goes somewhere. Okay, so the other day, right, we shot these Halloween commercials. And I had one prop. The one prop was the talking skeleton. Mm-hmm. So, like, it was a talking skeleton, and you had to press a button.
It's not here anymore.
I have it.
Oh.
It's in a drawer. I hid it.
So is that where this story is going?
Yeah, because so you have to press a button and then it moves its mouth. I was like just sitting on the couch and it started to go off. And I was like, huh. So it freaked me out.
Without you touching it?
Without me touching it. I was over here. No one was over there. It just went off over there. It was on that desk. See, and those are the things that I'm like, Because, like, fun fact, sometimes this video I feel like is going to make me sound crazy.
Great. That's what we're here for.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Sometimes what? Huh?
I definitely have ghost stories. I've seen things. I still see stuff. My third eye is like so sort of open, I guess. That's why I don't like scary movies.
So it's not necessarily...
It depends on the scary movie. I feel like I'm all over the place right now. Like, I can watch The Purge and stuff and not be scared.
But that's not... I don't feel like The Purge is
okay, name me...
Because to me, there's a difference between, like a thriller and a horror film.
Okay, so what's a horror film, and I'll tell you if I'm scared of it.
The Nun.
Yeah, you want to know why I'm afraid of The Nun? Because if you watch a trailer, and you, like, focus on it, the face, when you blink, it stays with you. I'm not... For real! I heard that it's not even scary, so I'm sure I'd be fine, but like I said, anything religious,
So...
anything, like, devil...
Because of the whole, like, seeing ghosts thing?
No, I just think it's terrifying.
So you don't want to see like the image because then it sticks with you, and then you just have that idea. Like
And
you
then it
take that
morphs
home
into
with
its
you.
own movie in my brain.
Because like we went to go see Halloween.
Yeah, but
which
I love Halloween.
So why do you love Halloween?
So growing up, Halloween definitely scared me. Like he was terrifying. Like I just always was like, everybody make sure you lock the doors, lock the doors. But as I got older, it just became more of like, I don't know, being a fan of it, I guess.
So now I never saw Halloween as a kid because again I was a huge pussy. That one that we watched, the new one, was the first time I've seen it. Like that was the first
Which
one.
I made a prediction.
What?
I made a prediction and I said if you haven't seen the first one or are a fan of the Halloween franchise and you're going into this one as a standalone, you're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna think it's corny and campy and not scary at all, which is exactly how you felt.
I didn't think it was corny and campy, but I didn't think it was scary at all. But I never think any movie is scary. For me, the thing about Michael Myers, I feel like a lot of older like horror films were scary at the time because they had never been done before. So like Michael Myers as this guy who's just like murdering everybody kind of like aimlessly was a scary concept at the time, but I feel like the genre has evolved so much since then. That was the campy part of it because the whole time I was thinking to myself like, why though? Like, why are you murdering everybody? Like,
But he has no reason.
yeah, it's kind of like,
evil.
I guess. But to me, that idea of like taking it home with you is what makes a scary movie effective.
Yeah.
And Michael Myers, I didn't take home with me because I'm like, it was just hard for me to buy into like this totally blind murderer for no reason.
But to me, that's what serial killers are like.
But they're not though.
Why did Ted Bundy kill then?
Like if you look at the thinking behind a lot of serial killers, they all have like some type of childhood trauma. They all tend to be like sociopaths. But the reasons behind why they kill exist. Like they'll have reasons. They don't just like aimlessly just like a murdering machine. Mm-hmm. And to me, he didn't even talk. So he was just kind of like a murdering machine. And it was one of those things where because that had never been done before, like in the 70s, whenever that came out, that was like a crazy thing to see. But now it's like you expect more out of a murderer, out of a killer. When you see something like Saw, where he's like dying, you know what I'm saying? He had cancer, he was dying, and he was kind of like punishing these people that he felt like did him wrong and were kind of like the reason behind why he was dying. Him as a killer, I felt like was more relatable and more believable because you knew what his motive was. Or like killers that are kind of like deformed in some kind of way, or like they're cannibals or they're raised in some weird cult like thing, like something. Like this dude was just randomly murdering everyone. At least from what I saw.
So you needed like some sort of, like you didn't feel like it was like at all justified. And
like he just wasn't real. Even Chucky at least was like a killer that got possessed into, like there was some kind of backstory to it. It just wasn't like a murder machine. These horror films kind of are evolving now where some of them aren't even necessarily horror films in the sense of like the boo shock thing. It's more of like, this situation is terrifying. Like Saw, like these situations.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Because then you're like, oh, this can really happen. I think that's the scarier part of it.
And that's why I feel like Paranormal Activity did so well, because not only was it like a thing that seemed like it could really happen, it was made in a way that looked like it was really happening.
I got tricked into seeing Paranormal Activity at the Hollywood ArcLight in the Dome. I don't know how I got tricked into doing that, but I did, and I could not sleep for like a week.
Okay. Why?
Terrified. In the bed.
The like time-lapse thing?
Yes! Yikes! Let's not repeat it. There's something about voyeurism.
Yeah.
That's why I like my windows are always closed.
Mine too.
You will not. It like boggles my brain, and when I'm walking around the neighborhood and I see windows like wide open and I can see them, like you look like you're cooking. That's weird that I'm a complete stranger. I'm passing by your house and I see you cooking, because I feel like it's like someone's plotting a murder.
Now, when I saw Paranormal Activity, I laughed at it the whole time.
Yeah, that's why I'm very interested in why you brought it up, because I thought you hated it anyway.
I didn't hate it. Like, I don't, this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't hate scary movies. I actually really like them. They just don't scare me.
But
Like,
you
I don't
laugh
take
at
them home with me.
They're like comedic.
Because this is why. And now, like, this gets into my psychology from me being, like, a scaredy cat kid all the time.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, I was afraid of everything. So for me to start watching scary movies, I had to be able to, like, remove myself from it.
It was like your defense mechanism.
Right. So now when I watch scary movies, I like to step out of it. So I'm looking at it from, especially because I do this, so I'm looking at it from like, how did they make this scary?
like a thing, yeah.
Right.
Now, do you think all that stuff that happened around the exorcism or the exorcist or whatever, all those people dying, is that not weird and creepy?
No, it was weird and creepy. And same thing with Poltergeist, which was a movie I did watch as a kid that did mess me up. Mm-hmm. But where I was going with Paranormal Activity, then we'll go to that point. With Paranormal Activity, I laughed at it because I was like, all this is shaky camera and loud noises off screen. Just like timed really well. So whenever I'm watching like something scary, especially I think when it starts to get scary, I always start breaking it down. Like
when you know it's gonna come.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, the music's getting loud. Something's about to come up, and then it happens every time, and then everybody else is jumping. I'm like, well, I was already prepared for this mentally, so I saved my heart. But sometimes they will get me because the thing will come from somewhere else. And for me, one of the good techniques is when there's like that's really slow build up of when they're like walking through somewhere and it's quiet and you know it's coming, but you don't know where it's coming from or when it's coming or what it's going to do when it comes. Like that gets me. Also, at the same time, it's just like a boo. It's like a jump. It's not like I still don't take it home with me. Like The Strangers.
Terrifying.
That's
why I don't.
That conceptually, I think, is a scarier movie just because it seems more realistic.
Yeah, that's why you won't catch me in cabins. Tell you that. Do you ever like look from like when you drive to LA to Vegas out into the like open land and then there's like a house there and you wonder what are they about? Or you'll see that house and it's surrounded by all these like broke down cars and you're like, wow. Are those all of your broke down cars?
Probably.
Or are those broke down cars of people you murdered?
I never go there.
Somewhere on the freeway going over there, I remember there's this just a gate and then a little hut type of a thing. Mm-hmm. And I was in the passenger seat and I looked over and I saw a person going in there. Now, there was no car in sight. Nothing. So it freaked me out. And I was like, I promise I didn't see anything.
Wait, what was it? What was it? A little hut?
Yeah, no, but it was like fenced. Almost like an electrical thing or something. It was fenced off. Mm. But it was like a little thing. It was like
an
fenced
underground
off.
laboratory thing.
Probably. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So yeah, can the Texas Chainsaw Massacre happen? I believe that. Yeah.
Things like that would be scarier to me if I was there. Like, when I drove from Chicago to here, I told you that story, I think, when my car was running out of gas in New Mexico.
Yes.
Driving from Chicago to LA when I moved here, I got everything I own in my car and, like, my old roommates in the car. Both of our phones don't work. No service. We're in the middle of New Mexico, pitch black. Like, you literally can see nothing. And my gas light is just, like, is on. And all I could think was, like, man, we have no service out here. And all we got is these, like, call boxes. I don't know where somebody's supposed to come from because there's nothing inside. It's like the middle of nowhere. So that idea was terrifying.
Did you think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre like at that moment?
Yes.
See?
But
it stuck with you then.
But
so then it sort of stuck because you were like, "Ooh, someone's gonna help me." But are they really going to help me?
But I like had to be
bend down. Like if you're like, let's say you're bending down to help, are they gonna knock me upside the head and throw me in my trunk and drive me in my own car to my death?
So then it's like, as a culture, from having like all these scary movies, we automatically go there when we're in that situation. But I feel like people that don't even go watch scary movies, it's like, why? Because you're not going to be, like, what are the chances that you're going to be in that situation? And even if I never saw a scary movie in my life and I was in that situation that I was in, that would still be terrifying to me regardless.
Oh, yeah,
So
definitely.
I feel like for me, for a movie to actually be scary to me, like watching it, where I'm scared to watch it, it has to be something that you can relate to. It has to be something that you feel like could happen to you like right now, like while you're watching it. I tell people all the time, the scariest movie I ever saw was Gone Girl, because it wasn't even a horror film, but that was terrifying. Like that chick in that movie doing that to that dude, it was terrifying. And like being just a guy, like having that happen to you. Now, like that's a character I can relate to, because most of the time the characters are just like people you don't care if they get killed. Mm-hmm. And Ben Affleck, I don't even like, but like I read that book too, and so it was more like that character. I was just like, dude, I can't even imagine that happened to you. And then at the end where he stays with her, it was so twisted. I
know.
That movie to me is like the scariest movie I've ever seen.
See, I don't even think I can answer that. I think the imagery that stuck with me the most was, I think it was the exorcism of Emily Rose. Is that the one in the barn?
Yeah, where she was like creeped up backwards. That was another thing too that I was saying. Like people contorted in weird ways. I can't.
Like that like stuck with me for a minute.
Yeah, me too.
This is why we do what we do for a living. It's because we have like our imaginations go wild, and that's literally why I can't with certain scary movies. It's because like my brain just like, okay. And then this is going to happen. And this... We just talked about this when we were like, why are we like this? Why do we think of morbid things?
Yeah. Like, an example. We were at this client shooting, and I asked the receptionist for a pair of scissors.
This is so random.
And I needed the scissors because we were cutting up these sheets of paper. And I walked up to her. I still had my sunglasses on because I came from outside. I was like, hey, can I borrow a pair of scissors? This lady's never seen me in her life. And hands me a set of scissors. And in my head, I thought, like, you don't even know who I am. I could be using these scissors to stab everybody in here, to stab you, to go stab your boss. You don't even know me. I don't know why I had that thought.
It was completely random.
I don't know what's wrong with me. But
you could be a sociopath.
At the end of the day, you kind of realize, like, anybody could do anything at any moment. And, like, if you think like that, then you walk around outside scared to death all the time because anybody could do anything crazy at any time.
You know, my dad used to say something to me growing up because I was such a scaredy cat. Mm-hmm. Like, I was so scared that, like, someone had to accompany me to the bathroom. Like, if I caught a scary movie. Which then my parents would be like, why do you even watch it? And I was like, well, because everybody wanted to.
Because it's hot in the streets.
And it would get to me so bad that like there'd be times where I would run into like my parents' bedroom, and I'm not talking I was like 8 or 9 or 10. I'm talking like
19.
Yeah. You got me. You got me. No, not 19, but like
18. Like if you can make the ultimate scary movie, what would it be?
Like you're asking for help, but no one can hear you or see you. I went to a Catholic grade school, so I imagined these lockers on this school hallway, and everybody is like all girls, all in uniforms, and they all kind of look the same. So just imagine everybody looking exactly the same, lined on their lockers. I'm like in the middle of the hallway, so all I see are the backs of these people. And, like, I'm asking them for help, but no one can hear me. No one's turning around. I can't speak. I'm just like, No one's hearing. And then when they do turn around, they had no face. It was just blank. It was just, like, blank face nightmare.
So you made that up, or you, like, dreamt that?
I dreamt that, and then I wrote it down. If I had to put, like, one of the scariest things is people not believing you. Like, I'm running away from somebody and I, like, come across a backyard party. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. And like, hey, there's somebody chasing me. And it's Halloween. It's Halloween. And they're like, oh, this is a great act.
Yeah.
And I'm like dying.
Yeah.
Because the person's like, wow, stabbing me or something. It's been done before, I feel like.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that has been done.
Ooh, I had another dream where, again, like, my nightmares are all with people that don't listen to me. All of our friends were in it, and we were all at this house party. We got invited to this house party. And then things got kind of weird, and I noticed, like, none of the doors were opening to get out. So I tried to, like, lift up a window, and there was, like, special bars on the windows. But there was one door in the back that was still open, and I'm, like, trying to tell everybody, I'm like, you guys, we gotta go. And I'm like, but we're having fun. Everybody just starts doing, like, shots, and, like, they're drinking, and I'm like, then it got weird. And then everybody kind of started to escalate. People started getting, like, really, really scared then too. So then there was nothing in sight to use as weapons, but there was an office area that had a ton of pens. So I grabbed a handful of pens and I'm like handing it to all of our friends, and I'm like, all right, so just like hold it, like
prison weapons.
I'm like, and then when they come in, we just have to bum rush them. Just go for the neck. And I was literally telling people, like, just like right there. I never saw myself touching horror. Ever. I never was like, I'm going to write a horror film, direct a horror film. I didn't really see that. But if I was going to, it would involve people not listening.
A thing from that I would come up with would be like something where you were stuck in somewhere and you couldn't get out. Like the first Saw, where they were like, you're in here and the only way to get out is to do this horrific or you have to cut your own foot off or whatever. Or the other movie, 127 Hours or whatever it is, where he had to cut his arm off. Like, something like that, because, like, I live by myself. I've lived by myself for a long time. And that's one of those things you think about sometimes at night where you're just, like, laying in bed and you're like, man, if I died right now, or if I started choking or something, like, I'm by myself. Like, nobody would even know.
I feel like you talk to enough people. Like, for me, if you didn't respond to a text from me,
yeah,
I'd give it a day. Like, if you want an entire day, I'd be like, bro, what the like, quit being a bitch right now. Then I would drive to your house, I think, the next day.
I remember when I was a kid one time, I got stuck in my uncle's bathroom because I went in there and their doorknob was missing for some reason.
Oh, goodness.
And everybody was outside. We were having a picnic or something. I went inside to go to the bathroom. And then when I closed the door, went, and then I turned around and the knob wasn't there.
Oh.
So it was just like a hole that you could see out.
Oh, no.
And I just panicked immediately. I was like sitting in there just screaming bloody murder. And then my little cousin came in and literally just like pushed this latch in the hole where the doorknob was and opened the door. Because she lived there and she knew how that worked, but I didn't.
Oh,
and like I instantly panicked. Or like being in an elevator and it stops in a random place. Like I have nightmares about that.
Yes.
Like being stuck somewhere is like my thing. Or being like buried alive or something like that.
Dude,
Like,
I literally just, why are we like this? Because I just went to the dentist, and in my dental office, it's like, it's rest of the building's pretty empty, but you take an elevator. So I got in the elevator, and I remember looking at my bottle of water, and I was like, wow, I'm the only one that's gonna enter this elevator. If something happens, like an earthquake or something, like this water, I'm gonna have to ration. Like, I was going...
Wow. At the apocalypse.
Yeah, and then so I got out the elevator, and I was like, oh, thank you. Why am I like this?
I guess we'll leave it at that, because you guys can tell us what your concept of the scariest movie would be. 1,
do you like scary movies? Start there. 2, what is your favorite scary movie? And 3, why do scary movies scare you, if they do?
Tell us what your ideas are. We won't steal them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then, like, comment, and subscribe.
Be that guy.
I can't even say that with a straight face.
Whatever. All right.